We are living off the inheritance of previous generations. For 3 centuries, every era in our country's history left a better legacy for its children. The greatness of the UK was forged by the sacrifices of our ancestors. They built, they innovated, and they took tough decisions. They never assumed that prosperity was guaranteed. They made sure that it was. But that has bred an assumption that Britain will always be wealthy. We are a wealthy country, but we are becoming weaker through complacency. We are losing our resilience. We can't make things like we used to. We don't build as quickly. We are spending too much on debt, too much on welfare, and too little on defense. We are not growing like we should be. That's us. That's Canada, a little higher. That's the US growth. And up there at the top is Australia. We are not creating a legacy for the next generation. Worse than that, we are mortgaging our children's future by not recognizing that the world has changed. We're making things harder and harder for them across the board. If you look at real disposable income, or GDP per capita, or home ownership, you will see that things are stagnating or going backwards. In 1974, you could save up for a deposit to buy a house in less than 6 months. Now the average time is more than 11 years. Conservatism is about ensuring the very best of our society is preserved for the next generation, not just our own. As Roger Scruton said, conservatism is about the love of what exists, not because it is perfect, but because it is ours, and because it has grown from the lives of those who came before us. Our party has a proud history of helping the country recover from crisis. The Cold War, the economic reforms of the 1980s, the aftermath of the 2008 financial crash. It has often been our duty to shepherd our country's recovery. Yet last July, we suffered the worst defeat in our party's history. We replaced the principles-based government that brought us success with the managerialism of Labour that gave our power to quangos and courts. We assumed that we would always be wealthy, so we focused on the status quo rather than the future. And now Labour are back, and they are already making everything worse. Jobs are disappearing, taxes are rising, and growth is shrinking. They are vandalizing education, and they are completely clueless on the need for real reform of regulation. But we have to acknowledge that Labour are there because we made mistakes. And the public made it very clear that the Conservative Party needed some time away from government. Our job right now is to use that time wisely, just as Margaret Thatcher and David Cameron did in generations past. And just like the 1970s and 2000s, our party cannot shortcut our way back into office with easy answers or rushed announcements. We must develop credible plans that are based on shared Conservative values: personal responsibility, citizenship, sound money, family, freedom, and so much more. Plans that show that we are thinking about tomorrow, plans that are ambitious, tackling problems with the detail they deserve, but are rooted in realism, not wishful thinking. Today, I am talking about one of the biggest ways that we are destroying our children's inheritance. Let's start by telling the truth on energy and net zero. Every single thing we do in our daily lives is dependent on cheap, abundant energy. When energy became cheap and abundant, living standards began to rise. Health and life expectancy grew. Cheap, abundant energy is the foundation of civilization as we know it today. We mess with it at our peril. But that's exactly what's been happening for 20 years.